All right, chat. First things first, let's peep the Sue out. Okay, so Sue is very, very, very unique because a lot of her value comes out of how you use your abilities and your ultimate. Her damage is relatively weak, right? Her primary damage is also relatively weak, but it can be sometimes decently high, just raw value whenever you're cleaving a lot of people, right? So you cleave a lot of teammates, and you cleave a lot of allies, or sorry, a lot of enemies, right? And that's the only scenario where she like shines like out of the walls, right? And she does a really, really good job. But I think generally speaking, her kit's value, the value out of her kit comes from sustaining your team just enough to be able to get value with your pull and trying to get value out of your slow, right? And your ultimate is also very similar in that regard as well. So let's talk about primary and the quirks of her primary. So first thing with her primary is that it's like a boomerang, right? So if I shoot it forward, it'll come back the same direction, except it'll lean just a little bit towards the left. And I can show you an example of where that would be the case. If I'm aiming to the right of Luna here, I hit her on the first go on the way forward, but I don't on the way back because it leans a little bit to the left. So boom, and it doesn't hit. It's only one proc here, right? So with Sue, it's very important that you're proccing the way in and the way out. And it's the exact same thing if I aim here. So on the way back, it hits, but not on the way forward, right? So it leans a little bit to the left. Another thing about Sue is that it's also very difficult for you to hit the second way whenever you're strafing. And you can tell that I'm hitting right in the center of Luna. Well, they're kind of hitting early, but I'm hitting the center of Luna, and on the way back, it leans to the direction that I'm strafing. So I strafe right and it'll lean towards the right, as you can see right here, right? So I'm not hitting it on the way back. So the first thing that you got to know is that unless you're cleaving a lot of people and you want to be focusing on like a lot of healing on someone or a lot of DPS on someone, you can always use the tech where you just aim at their feet. Because no matter what, as long as you hit them on their feet, you don't have to aim like really, really low like this. Like you aim like at their knees and stuff like that. And that'll guarantee that no matter what, it'll bounce off the floor and it'll hit them. So that's the first Sue tech. With the healing, your primary job with your primary healing should be to heal your tanks. That should be your main focus, because it's a lot easier for you to land your shots on your tanks, and it's a lot more difficult to land the shots on your squishies, right? And you have relatively high burst healing as well. So now we're going to talk about her right click. We're just going to go through with the right click as the first ability. So this is a shield, has 300 HP. It heals 50 over time. The radius is shown by this like drifting aura right here, and you can see it right here. It's like relatively large around the shield. And if you're standing in this aura, you get 50 healing per second. This is one of two abilities for Sue to sustain herself. It is, if you're ever getting dove, if you find value off your shield, it is the best way to sustain yourself. I call these shields like cookies a lot of the times, right? And I'll be like, here, have a cookie, here, have a cookie, and stuff like that. But the main thing that you want to know about it is that it can block a decent amount of the ultimates in the game. For example, Namor ult. If the Namor ult is right here, it'll block the Namor ult for this guy. For Mag ult as well. If you're inside the bubble like this, right? The Mag, and you can see where the Mag is ulting. If he ults in front of you, you'll be blocked. If you see that he's trying to ult past you, you just walk ahead of the shield and then it'll be blocked as well. So there's a lot of shield play to be had. But the biggest weakness of the shield is its HP. Its HP is very, very low. Rarely ever do I place a shield on my tanks. And the main reason for that is that the only time I actually want to be placing the shield on my tanks is to give them like an extra second of sustain. Because that's all it really does. It's just like an extra second. It's very easy to break the shield. But it's really annoying if you're shielding your off anglers, and that's the main purpose of the shield. Now, the game that we're gonna watch, you're gonna see me shielding off like my off anglers whenever I see like a good opportunity for them. Another use case for the shield is to shield, like to ask your ally to stage in a very specific spot where you know you're gonna play, where it's hard for the enemy to break it, but you can utilize its like extra range to heal yourself, right? Because it's your best survival ability in your kit. Oh, okay. Well, one last thing about the shield. Yeah. So it aims towards the direction that they are staring. Right, chat? The only time that it will not aim towards the direction that it's staring is if the person is staring too close to the wall, right? If there's a wall right here, chat, like this, the shield will not place in front of them, but instead it'll place behind them like this. And I don't think there's a good way to like show that in a practice range, but I think you guys kind of get the idea behind it. And then we'll talk about the shift. The shift, I wouldn't necessarily see the shift necessarily as like a lot of damage. Like here, I'm going to pop my ult and I'll kind of show you how little it farms. I'll wait for it to expire and I'll kind of show you how little it farms in comparison to the rest. Let's say I'm just going to shift here, chat, right? And we just look at the ult charge. It dealt like 180 damage, I think, 150 damage. It's not really that much damage. It kind of does stack decently well if you're doing it in like a large like group of people, but you're not necessarily using it that much to farm ults. But it is a little bit in mind whenever I do throw it. The main thing with the shift is that it slows a little bit the closer they are to the center of it. Just a very small bit. It is the weakest ability in our kit, right? So you should be trying to use it as like a means of like extra damage piled onto the kit that you already have, right? So a decent example of that is if you're 1v1ing someone, and this is not going to be a great example because the bots actually don't like respond the right way. But let's say you're 1v1ing someone and you expect them to strafe away from you. Let's say you expect them to go this way. Something that you can do is throw your shift where they're strafing, so they're in that general location longer. Let me do infinite abilities and we'll kill this bot and we'll wait for the other one to respawn. Let's say that you expect them to like strafe through that entire thing. The moment that they get out of the slow, you can use your E to pull them back into it. So an example would be like, let's say they strafed all the way out and they're completely out of the shift. You use your E and you force them to walk through it all the way again. And that's where Sue can land like a lot of value. And a lot of value will come through like catching DPS left guard by having them like over peak their position or tanks that are overextending, right? You can punish those like pretty easily. Then we have the E, chat, right? So the pull on the E is 6 meters, I believe, right? The right click, that is 6 meters. Then the push is 12 meters. A lot further. It's double the distance for the push than it is for the pull. So generally speaking, the pull is the best part about your kit. The pull is what makes Sue a really good hero in my eyes, right? And mainly because pulling people off of like high ground when they're over peaking you or pulling in people that have already overextended and they're trying to back up. Like so many times you see like a Strange, he goes in, right? His shield breaks because you deal a bunch of damage, right? And he's trying to back up and he's like backing off, or he like flies up into the sky. He can't necessarily shield while he's flying up into the sky. And that's a really good opportunity for you to pull, right? And when you do pull him, it cancels his fly, right? Entirely. So he doesn't get like that free flight in the air, and it'll send him straight into your team, and it should be like a free pick most of the time. So if you're thinking I want to be comboing my E and my shift for like heroes that are grounded, that's always a good idea. Otherwise, catching people off guard with just your E is relatively good as well. If you know people are stacking somewhere really heavily as well, you can throw your shift in there as well to farm a little bit of ult charge. Like, it's not something to scoff at when you have like 2 or 3 people in. Like, I'm gonna throw it here, right? And my ult charges like relatively decently, and a lot of the times the tanks will disrespect it because they're fine with taking that damage. That's not really that much damage, chat, right? But you farm your ult just a little bit faster as opposed to just only healing, which is like a really nice part about Sue, because a lot of the times you can outfarm your ults mainly based off the damage that you deal. There's tech with Sue E. There's an indicator that shows up on your screen that tells you if you are able to pull a hero. So you see this Luna Snow right here, right? She just has a red outline. That's all she has, right? And no matter how hard or where I angle, how hard I try, where I angle, whatever, I cannot pull her no matter what, right? It's either hits the wall or it goes too high. I can't pull her. But if we move a little bit up, she starts glowing. That means that as long as she's glowing, I can pull her, right? And it's also based off where your crosshair is. The moment she turns red, right? Let's go down. Like here. All right. Like right here is the limit, it looks like. That will pull her no matter what, as long as it's red. And that's a good indicator to see if you can pull an enemy. Another thing with Sue pull and push, it is a horizontal push. It is not based off where you're looking, and it's not based off of high ground to low ground ratio of your character compared to their character. So what that means basically is that, so if I go up here and I try to pull this bot, right? this bot will not be pulled up, but he will always be pulled horizontal as if I'm standing like right down there. So if I pull this bot right here, it gets pulled here, and he doesn't get to pulled up. If I'm standing here, the pull doesn't make a difference. So your height differential compared to theirs doesn't matter at all for the pull and push. There is some boop tech with her as well. Generally speaking, whenever you're looking to boop people, a lot of the times you want to be using your push ability instead of your pull ability. Like rarely ever am I close enough where I can pull someone and it'll pull them far enough to where it'll knock them off the map. But if I go like invis behind someone and I want to boop them off the map, it's a lot easier to line up your stuff and then go with a quick push whenever you see the opportunity rise. So your double jump should be an ability that is like relatively conserved, right? It is your escape ability. Whenever you're getting dove or you expect to be dove, it's like I go invis on command. Is the third melee ever useful? I'll talk about the third melee, but relatively speaking, there's only like one scenario where I found that it is useful. Otherwise, no. So with the double jump, you want to be a little bit more conservative with it. I feel like a lot of people kind of just use them for like moving around the map, which is okay if you know that you will not be punished for it. But a lot of the times, let's say that they have mag ult, right? And you pop your ultimate. The mag 99% of the time will try and focus you, because if he kills you, he cancels the ultimate. It's like the exact same reason why the mag will focus like Cloak during Cloak ult, right? Or like a Luna during Luna ult. So it's really important for you as Sue to have your double jump available, right? Let's say I pop my ultimate like right here, right? And there's like a mag floating around and he's looking for me. I hit him with like something like deceiving like that, where he won't expect it, into a place where I won't be revealed, right? By like damage dealt or anything like that. The mag won't be able to find me. Then we have the ultimate. So ultimate is very skill expressive because it really depends on what's going on in the fight. If it is a brawl v brawl, the moment that you should be looking to do, or the way that you should be looking to use your ultimate, generally speaking, is either to play aggressively with it by forcing them to play, forcing their tanks to play inside of the ultimate and using your E to pull them back in, so that the supports, number one, can't see their tanks and don't see how low they are, and number two, you abuse the slow that you get out of the ultimate. So for example, let's say I pop my ultimate like right here, right? And let's say that this bot is actually standing right here, and I pop my ultimate right here. If I pop my ultimate and let's say that the bot is a tank and he walks out of the range of my ultimate, that ring around my ultimate is a large slow ring. You get slowed. I should probably check the exact number on it, but it is a pretty significant amount for 1 second, right? So you want to be abusing that slow as much as possible, because it's very annoying for a lot of the heroes to be continuously slowed, because they basically can't move at all, right? So if I pop my ultimate right here, that bot, let's say the bot walks out, he's slowed, and then I use my slow, this vortex, and I pull them back in as well with my E, like this. I ended up using my shift again. But the idea is that you want to continuously combo like people with your slow. Like that's generally how you get the most value out of your ultimate. You basically are stunning people for the duration of your shift and the duration of your E and the duration of your ultimate, which is 8 seconds, right? So I pop my ultimate, I use my slow, I pull them back in, and now they're like very slowed for like multiple seconds in a row, right? It's also a pretty good defensive ultimate. It heals a little bit more than Mantis. It's 165 healing per second as opposed to Mantis's 150, but Mantis does provide over health, but it's not compared to like Luna Snow ultimate, where Luna Snow ultimate is 250 healing per second. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go over a game that I played on Sue, and we're going to do a little bit of an analysis run of what I did and why that Sue game was really good. I think we're going to take a look at this game, right, chat? Yeah. Okay, so I went 25-1, got MVP. It's a top 500 game. Like everyone in this game is good. And I'm just going to go through and show you why this Sue game was really good for me. How to reset shield. When your shield is up, you click F. All right, we're gonna go here. All right, so first thing of any game is you analyze what composition they're on. Things will change depending on what they have. Your gameplay will change, right? Like your win con will change. So that's the first thing I do every single game. As I look at the heroes that they have and I analyze like what am I playing for? What can I punish? And then what position do we have, right? So we'll just look at Sue and we'll take a look on thought process here. I see that they have Strange here. I hear that they have Bucky, and I hear that they have Thor. I see that we ended up killing Dagger there. And Vicious just on the off angle. He's getting kills here. I'm just healing up my team. And I look a pull. I look for a pull on their Luna. Doesn't really matter too much here. For the pull, but it is a good way to confirm a kill there at the end. And I'll stop and like analyze like specific parts on why I did what I did. So I'm just healing my tanks here. Nothing crazy going on. I do have a shield set up behind us, by the way. If I pause here for a second, I can show you that I do have a shield set up right here, chat. Because I ended up shielding off my Luna when she was staged here. And the shield is good mainly because whenever we do kite and we're low, we back into the shield. Another good location for a shield is right here as well. If you set up a shield here, and let's say that they're swinging around, your tanks will either go here or you will go here and then eventually back off. But that spot, generally speaking, is a pretty good spot. Whenever tanks get low, they end up going there naturally. Or if a DPS is ever playing up here, they get low, they can drop down, they'll instantly started to get healing, or they'll start to get healing up here if they stand right here. Right? So shield placement is generally important, and you should think about it being used on squishies, self peel, or your DPS on the off angle. I look to punish the Thor that engaged on because he was alone. Unfortunately, the incline doesn't let me pull him too far. If I did a little bit earlier, probably would have been good. And now that you can see them stacking up a little bit, I look for a good shift over here, and I proc it on the way on where I want it to be procced, right? So like a good radius around the cart here. And then I look to swing up and look for damage, right? We're mag ulting, so I'm looking to play aggressive. I look to pull like one of their tanks so they get out of position, maybe for a good mag ult or something like that. But generally speaking, I want to be pulling like their backline or whatnot, or if their Strange is like shielding really heavily and I have an angle on him, I can pull him to like split them off a little bit. But the only thing I saw was their tank, so I just pulled their tanks to try to get them a little bit more out of position for my mag ult. So they ended up using ultimate here, and I end up countering. Generally, not like the greatest use case of ultimate of all time, but Base did end up overextending here in this scenario, and he ended up dying for it. So I kind of want to use my ultimate to kind of like look for a counter pick or like create a good opportunity where maybe we can kill the cloak or something. So we're just kind of playing the ultimate, but I'm playing on the edge. And this is where I use my double jump to disengage at the end there, like I was talking in the practice range. I disengage, and now I have a safe position where I'm not in danger. The Thor is a little bit overextending, so maybe we can pick off their Thor. But we have Luna going right now, and I'm just looking for damage because my team should be full. Try to pull the Thor. No value. They use a relatively bad ult there, right? And the reason that it's bad is that they're not really going to kill anything here with this ultimate. They have to use it a lot more aggressively if they want to get any value out of it. Unless it's like a defensive ultimate, which is like, what entirely are we defending against? Like we're down one. They should be playing aggressive, right? So like I acknowledge that, and I'm like, all right, we just play safe. We just sustain, right? This is a bad ultimate. I get a good shield on the off angle, and my team just like chills, right? And the ultimate dies out. Nothing happens.
I am ready to put on a show.
They use magic ult. I ended up pushing the Thor out of the way. They do have Eye here, so maybe it wasn't the greatest push of all time, right? Maybe I should have analyzed that they had Eye. But the idea was I pushed the Thor out of the way to create like an opportunity for my magic to get a kill or something like that, instead of the Thor like keep wailing at her.
By the eye of Agamotto.
They use Eye, but I saved my double jump to get out of range. He doesn't really get any value with it, even though he did it like kind of in the middle of our team. This is a pretty good shield here, chat, like on the edge. I'm pretty safe, and I look for a really good pull in the Thor, right? And I do call every single one of these pulls as well in the actual stream. That lands me a lot of value. That like I make sure that people are following up on my pulls and pushes. This is the shield that I was talking about. I probably should have reset the health, but I really like the position of the shield, and I thought that it was going to stay up for quite a while, so I just kept it there. You can see that they ended up pulling my tanks there, by the way. And what I like to do generally, if I see my tanks being pulled in and they're on top of my tanks and my tanks are still trying to disengage, I will just push away their tanks. My push is twice as effective as their pull, right? So I'll just push away their tanks and it'll give my tanks breathing room to reset. Trying to help my magic that's playing really aggressive here. I had a really good slow on their Luna. And we can watch that back real quick and I'll kind of show when I noticed her. So when you walk up here, you see that I'm already looking at the Luna, right? So I'm throwing my slow ahead of her on where she's gonna be kiting. She walks through the entire duration of the slow and then I pull her back into the slow. And it just guarantees a very, very easy kill on the Luna. Go for a little bit of a disrespectful spawn camp eye. I'm just playing close to my team, but not like too dangerously to make sure that they're like hide out all safely.
Against the world.
Playing aggressive here because we're not too scared because we're calling that we're going to use Luna ult. So I want to play for like an aggressive shift, maybe pick off on their back line because I'm not going to kill anyone in the front line because they have cloak ult going. And then they use their disappear, right? And I want to make sure my team kites into a defensive disappear. I want to make sure that we're stabilizing here, right? Because we have the ult advantage on them. And I want to keep pushing that advantage forward. It's kind of like a ranked call. I don't think it would be amazing in scrims, but in ranked, this is totally fine. Mainly because it is last fight, and I want to win this fight. The Thor is on our Luna on the off angle. I try to shield my Luna. I probably could have had an opportunity to shield her again. Probably a misplay on my end there. If I shielded her again, she probably lives there. But Thor isn't like boopable in the air anymore or anything like that, so there's no reason for me to look for something like that. But I probably could have saved my Luna. But now I'm solo healing, and I want to make sure I'm like in a safe spot. Right, so like I acknowledge that the Thor's on the right side, but I see that he dashed back into my team. My win condition is dead, by the way. Our win con in that scenario was going to be our magic ult. She is now dead during ultimate, so there's no easy way for us to win the fight. So I'm calling for a disengage here. We just want to reset. I set up a pretty good shield, but our Strange got pulled in and unfortunately dies for it. They set up a Strange TP, and I know that he is really close to I or has I in the scenario. They ended up capping point, and I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to get out for free. There was an opportunity for me to live there, chat. If I just don't double jump over the portal, I kind of realized that after the fact, but if I double jump over the portal, I probably live there. But I didn't notice it fast enough. So, I'm still aware that they have Strange ult. So they're kind of overextending just a tad bit here. Them swinging this wide, I'm trying to catch him off guard with a slow and a pull. It's back into the slow. It has a decent chance of killing, but not like an extremely high. But it is an opportunity that I'm like trying to capitalize on just because of their positioning. All right, we get a pretty good eye here. We just focus out one of them, and now I just want to sustain my team, right? So when you're up someone, chat, you want to win the fight, not quick, right? You are up an individual. There's no reason for you to play like extremely aggressive, right? You kind of want to win the fight a little bit slow, a little bit over time, because the pressure's on them. You have the man advantage. You will win over time. A really good pull on the Luna Snow there, just trying to catch people off guard. But unfortunately, that pull resulted to an eye from him. But thankfully, Mace hits me with a fantastic bubble, and the audio fucks up here. I actually have no idea what happened there. Maybe it's because I was bubbled or something inside of the cloak ult, but that was the first time I've heard something like that. So they're trying to even out the fight. They're investing a lot into this fight, chat, right? Like we picked off their Bucky and we picked off their Luna Snow, and they committed Cloak ult and they committed Eye. They're really, really desperate for this fight win. So I use my ultimate to stabilize us and guarantee that we end up winning this fight. I pull in the Strange. I'm looking at their Cloak because her ultimate ended. She has to fade out. I'm looking to punish their Thor with a pull. Unfortunately, Visions gets picked off, and now they're using Thor ult to try to continue the fight. Pretty good shield here for both of us. Now, this is a really good choke for Cloak. Or not for Cloak, for Sue. Mainly because your shift does end up getting really high value here. Because they all end up stacking on the choke here. And you can see that the Thor's playing really, really aggressively. We get a really good Luna Snow ultimate on their Bucky ult. And I know that the Thor's playing really aggro here, right? I want to be looking to pick up their Thor. You can see that I'm focusing him pretty hard here. But at the same time, I'm not only hitting the Thor here, chat. I'm also hitting my team at the same time. So you can go back here for a second. You can see that I'm doing both at the same time. And I can do this. And I'm hitting my team right here at the Thor at the same time. And this Thor, I push him back into the team because he should be just trying to punish him. Not necessarily a free kill, but I want to kill here from him. Playing really aggressive because it's our time to go here. I end up using my Sue ult second, and Sue ult second's really, really good at this game, right? Whenever you plop your ult inside of their ult, their entire team is generally stacked inside of that ultimate, right? And your ult is going to last longer. So they're probably going to be going in and out of your ultimate the entire time. But they ended up stacking... Sorry, they ended up stacking their Cloak ult. So I want to back off, right? I used one ultimate for two essentially in that scenario. I'm healing my team, but my eyeball is on this Strange, chat, right? I know he has eye, and I want to make sure I'm calling for my team that my E isn't up just yet, right? And the moment that my E is up, I play confidently because I know that I can boop their eye, and then I boop it right here. It ends up hitting nobody. I go for a really good shift right behind Cart because they are kind of forced to be touching Cart here. Like their Strange is taking full damage from the E, and I'm just trying to play aggressive with my team here. And I can look for a pull here. A good pull on their Bucky, their Luna Snow solo on Cart. Use my double jump to just keep pushing the advantage in this scenario. Oh yeah, this is a really funny moment. There's been a lot of TikToks going around about Sue trying to push people into the portal. So the moment that I heard the portal, I started scouting the Sue. I see it on the right side, and I instantly start looking for the Sue here. I scout her out of first invis. She has to use her second double jump. She doesn't get any value out of her push, and then we ended up killing her. So chat, that's also why you don't go for the TikTok clips. They look really good, but they're not amazing on paper. It is a gamble. Their entire team walking out at the exact same time like that, like in TikTok, is relatively rare. TikTok play in comp is pretty wild. So we get a really free pick here. So we're trying to like see if we can finish off the rest of the team, maybe get another pick or two to continue our advantage because they're still fighting here. And you can see that I see the Groot, and the first thought process, I want to try to bully this Groot as much as possible. And I get him with the first pull. He ends up overextending. I'm pulling the Strange on the second pull and their Bucky. I get a really good shift here, chat. Oh, it doesn't end up in a good position, but the thought process behind the shift is really, really good. If the shift lands where I want it to land, it is a really good shift. So we're going to go back for just a second. I kind of explain the shift. Pull the Strange, and I double jump for a good angle here, and I can see that the Strange is shielding off this area right here, right in front of the reptile. And where I aim my shift is like right next to the cloak or the dagger in this scenario, right? And the reason behind that is that they're going to kite through that spot anyways, right? So they're going to kite through my entire shift, right? They're going to take all of my shift damage, and I'm going to have another E, and I'm going to pull them back into my shift. They're going to be slowed for a long time. But their Strange ends up catching it, which is a good play from their Strange. Now here, this is like an amazing spot for Sue, right? Like if my team kind of like plays a little bit more aggressively here and takes this long hallway, I deal all the damage and I deal all the healing. I farm my ult so fast. Look at my percentage here. So it's a 79%. Look how fast it's farming up. And I already have ult. Like it was like 3 seconds. I got 20% in like 3 seconds. It was incredibly fast. Right? So like finding these chokeholds where their entire team is stacking in like a small choke and you can get a bunch of value is really, really good on Sue, as long as you know that you're safe while doing it. And I use another Vortex there to keep them pulling. I pull their Strange in to see if we can catch someone off guard. But I'm looking to do an aggressive Sue ult here. And I'm calling for my team to do something like that. Aggro Sue, and the idea that the Sue is really good is because we continuously stuff them in this choke. Their cloak is playing aggressive, right? But they can't walk to the choke for free because we have a Sue ult up. And the Sue ult slows them when they walk through it. And not only that, but I also have my slow in there. And then I'm pushing them back into the ultimate slow. And I continuously abuse that here. You can see the entire team, they're struggling to walk out. They don't know what's going on. It's really chaotic. Like this Bucky has stayed in this choke this entire time. He's done nothing. Watching you on widescreen TV. God bless.
I am ready to put on a show.
Really good eye here. I tried to pull someone out of the Luna ult, but it's a little bit weak. I see the cloak engaging onto me, so I just reset through Mei in here and give up that angle. So they end up using Disappear here. But we've already invested Luna ult, and we're all inside the choke here, right? Or we're all inside the Sue ult, sorry. So it doesn't really get that much value. It's kind of like a sustain ultimate in this scenario, right? Which it's not going to last as long as our Luna ult. It's probably going to die out pretty early, and I'm already like preemptively staging in a good position where I can deal a lot of damage. Right, so I'm pushing him back into the choke. I want them to get away from this ultimate. They go for an eye. They don't hit anybody. They ended up dying there. Jazz, I'll move you after review. Give me a sec. So I'm pushing up. I have invis here, chat. So I'm looking for a pick here. Pretty good shield from their Sue, by the way. We might have been able to pick off their Bucky because he was fishing for something. But yeah, like if my team is up and we're looking for something like that, I always want to look for like a cheeky pull, catch him off guard, anyone overextending, anyone on high ground, anything like that. It's always high value. Just playing aggressive here. I know that they don't have their tanks up just yet, and now that they have the entire team, I'm slowly backing up, right? They're all fully regrouped. I just want to play passive here. I'm still playing in range for my primary to get a lot of damage and a lot of heals off on my team. And they end up getting a pretty good wall off here. So I'm calling for my team to play safe. We ended up mag ulting. I'm shielding my mag in the sky because it's kind of hard for me to hit floating targets. It's not too easy on Sue. So I generally try to throw my shield up in there, right? Like no one's gonna really break the shield, especially since he's mag ulting, and he should be getting some sort of healing over time. But I'm not only shielding him, I'm throwing in primaries in between each shield toss. Just sustaining my team here. We ended up getting a pick on their a little bit of an unlucky pull. It actually gets stuck on the lip of the environment there. Would have probably pulled someone, but no big deal. I'm playing now. I'm kind of thinking how I want to be using my ultimate, right? And I'm thinking I'm probably going to be aggressive here, right? They use their shift here. I have my abilities up, and now I want to look for something aggro. I hear the Bucky here, by the way. I hear the Bucky hook. If anyone's on high ground like that, that's a phenomenal opportunity for like a pick, right? And the moment that I heard the Bucky looking for a hook off the sound cue, I instantly turned up there and caught the Bucky off guard. We nearly had him there. So this is a good time for a good defensive Su ult. It is kind of hard for Namor to like consistently land his ultimate. Or sorry, not Namor. For their team to like consistently land like their damage on top of the Groot ultimate if I Su ult right here, because they're not inside of the ult, right? So to them, we are invisible. So it's pretty fat whale here, but we ended up getting traded. They ended up using Luna's ult, and I'm just trying to stabilize my team. We have our own Luna ult for second, so I'm just playing aggressive here, right? Like I used my slow here on the choke. That's really, really good. And I'm going to look for a pull here in a second, maybe. Oh, never mind. I lied. I was actually smarter in game. I was tracking the strange ult there. So saving my push for the strange eye. Made it so I don't get hit there and only Reptile gets hit. So I shield Reptile here. He gets the healing from the shield. And I spam my primaries into him as well, which ends up saving his life. The Bucky was overextending there, right? So their entire team backed up except their Bucky. So I want to make sure I pull the Bucky in deeper and guarantee that we kill him. So this fight is like pretty much over. And there you go. So that's kind of the thought process. That was a pretty good Su game. It was Brawl v Brawl, which is like best case scenario for Su, because she does get a lot of damage value, a lot of healing value. And I can show you the stats here real quick as well. So I finished with an MVP, nearly 18k damage and 36k healing. I had 4 final blows, but a lot of the value did come in from pull, right? Setting up like really, really good plays by punishing their DPS and making them feel scared to like take off angles. Like their Bucky was looking for hook there, like pushing him off that high ground, making it really, really uncomfortable for them to take off angles on us. And that's what Su does really well. I think that's basically about it, chat, though. I think that's good.